everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. We're here to preview the Southampton game with Shyam from MUFCM, which is the Manchester United Supporters Club Mumbai, and Prashant from MUFC India. So, this game is important in my opinion because I think this is the game where post restart things started going wrong for us. Southampton were the first team to sort of expose a template to play against Manchester United. So, Prashant, what do you think? Do you think Southampton will do more of the same, and how do you think we can overcome it?
First and foremost, Prashant, Southampton have been playing this way for the last year and a half now. Ralph Hasenhüttl has been setting up his team to press and press hard, and that's exactly how they have been playing. And the same season, in this season as well, that's how they are playing, and that's exactly how they have signed players, those kind of players who fit in, to that kind of mold. Now, imagine a resurgence of Che Adams and Danny Ings. I think the last time when we did, I said to you that Danny Ings should be moving for a bigger club right now after his failure at Liverpool, coming back to Southampton a good 12 to 14 months. He's been doing well. Now he's poised for a Premier League move. He was supposed to move to Tottenham. Things didn't move out well for him. So he's staying at Southampton. I'm sure Ralph Hasenhüttl will do the same thing again. He'll try and press this midfield of Manchester United. No matter you play 3 or 5 or whatever the midfield it is, he will press the game. That's a template, like you rightly said. Now for United, it's more important that someone like Anthony Martial starts firing all cylinders, because this game will give you spaces. Here or there, you will get small spaces, and someone like Anthony Martial should relish this challenge. And sadly, he's not in his best form like he was last year. But I think it will be a close game for two teams who are wanting to, kind of get one up on each other, especially Southampton, because they are fifth in the Premier League. They have a decent enough chance to move to the top four or top three in the later part of the season. And probably United will be the biggest test, and vice versa for United.
Right. Sham, Prashant made a very interesting point. Southampton are fifth in the league. They've gone 7 games unbeaten now. And that midfield has someone like an Oriol Romeo. I know they've lost Højbjerg, who's a big player for them. But James Ward-Prowse is looking fantastic. And Oriol Romeo brings something that I don't think personally any of our midfielders have, is that physicality in midfield. So how do you think we'll counter that? And how do you think who should start in that midfield for us in order to counter that physicality and sort of quick passes that they will try to do?
See, there are two things to it. Either Ole does the same thing, doesn't support doesn't have good faith in his defense, and then puts two DMs in the midfield to block it. And if we go with that, okay, it's gonna be a stalemate 0-0, or they're again gonna have a 90th minute winner coming in. I don't want us to do that. The last game, the UCL game, we saw only one Fred can do what he is supposed to do. You don't need to put in two DMs and then again play against a low block or a high block and then just spray your passes left and right. So according to me, we should be going with an attacking mentality for this game, knowing that almost every other team in the Premier League, not the Premier League, even the lower leagues, when we play the other cup, the Carabao Cup, even they know what to do against United. Just sit deep and let them do spray their passes left and right. So I think we should be playing attacking football this game, so that there is something different even for the fans to see. I was absolutely delighted to see the way we played in the first 15, 20 minutes, the last game. And that should be the template we should be playing at. That is the United way. You go attack and not sit deep and play on the counter. You can counter against team who attack you. But if a team like Southampton is ready to sit deep, what are you going to do? So I think that's how we should be going, and just playing with one DM, either Fred or a McTominay or a Matic. Just one player, and I need all attacking assets in the midfield and attack.
Right. Vishesh, do you agree with that assessment? Because I have been calling for this, that you have to play two attacking midfielders. Obviously, Paul Pogba I don't want to talk about, but I think Donny van de Beek made a big difference in that Başakşehir game. Another thing that made a big difference, I think, was Rashford playing from the right. I think the front three of Cavani, Martial and Rashford actually was working well. It's an exciting front three. And Rashford was essentially coming in and almost playing like a second striker, and he was able to pick the ball up and drive with it from midfield as well as play first-time passes into the box. So is that something you think Ole will pursue in this game as well? Or do you think he'll go back to the two center defensive mids to counter Romeo and Ward-Prowse?
Roshan, there was something very clear in the Istanbul game that we noticed. When we had Van de Beek instead of Matic or McTominay, we had that player who could make that first pass into the attacking area of the game. When we look at Fred and McTominay, they're workhorses. We know that, but they cannot make that final pass to the attacking front three that are there. So when you play Fred and McTominay, as Shyam said, you're playing for the low block. You're allowing them to attack, holding, and then just releasing. So that doesn't work. So if you want to create something, I think the trio that's getting formed in the last game of Fred, Van de Beek, and Bruno would be excellent, because I think Bruno and Van de Beek have formed a great connection, something similar to what Mata and Van de Beek or Mata and Bruno form, and that would be the midfield three I go with. Talking about Rashford, the only interesting part, I think Rashford had a below par game against Istanbul personally. But what I believe Rashford did right, which the club does not have, is hold the width on the right. So we have so many left-footed or left-minded players that when we play Martial up front and Rashford on the left, we completely shift to the left-hand side. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka cannot provide, those crosses that are needed. So therefore, if you look at the goal that Rashford scored, he held the right, stretched the pitch out, and then went in. So that's why I would still continue with Martial on the left, Rashford on the right, and Cavani up front. Because Cavani, even though he didn't score, was a decent presence in that 6-yard box, which caused again the second goal that Bruno scored. So I think we found something that's doing well. Let's continue with it.
I agree with all your assessments apart from the fact that Rashford has a subpar game. I thought he had a pretty good game for the fact that he was playing on the right for the first time. I think he was decent, good balls in the box. But Prashant, you spoke a lot about Danny Ings in the beginning. How much of a difference does it make for Southampton to not have Danny Ings? And how can we capitalize on that part? And it seems that we won't have Van Bissaka. So it probably looks like the back four will be of Maguire, Lindelof, Telles, and Brandon Williams. That also if Lindelof is fit as well. So how do
Yeah.
you think that will affect us?
Prasham, there's one more player in the midfield who we forgot to mention in Southampton. That's Stuart Armstrong. He's a bloody workhorse, and people don't actually rate him much because all the plaudits are taken by either a Walcott or a Danny Ings or Che Adams, who's been scoring goals here and there. But Stuart Armstrong is that underlying player in that Southampton midfield who kind of keeps the midfield together. Sometimes we all saw the last time when we play Southampton, Oriol Romeo with his rash tackles is crazy. Ideally should have been a red card, but obviously things didn't work out that time. And Stuart Armstrong is that kind of a guy who's very intelligent in that midfield. So my entire focus on tomorrow's game, on the weekend's game, is all about how do we tackle Stuart Armstrong. What Stuart Armstrong does basically in that midfield is that he tries to cut out the space when other people are pressing hard. Sometimes when Liverpool try and press hard, there's a lot of vacant spaces in midfield, and then your strikers have a run at your opposition. Stuart Armstrong cuts those spaces. Now, in terms of United, Van Bissaka is definitely out, no doubt about it. I don't think Lindelof is fit enough to start. And if Lindelof is not fit enough to start, I would definitely give Axel Tuanzebe a chance because he's anyways not going to play against PSG because of his yellow card. So why not try him in the Premier League and see what happens? And we've seen that he can handle pace well. Now the question is with Maguire and Tuanzebe, are both of them good enough to handle the front two of, let's say, Che Adams and Theo Walcott? I think yes, because Walcott blows hot and cold. He scored one against Wolves. I don't know whether he's going to score against us the next time. Che Adams is a very physical kind of a striker, so I'm sure Maguire can handle him. I think that's the only thing what I expect Maguire to do in that game. Now, coming back to how we would set up, I completely agree with Vishesh in the fact that the midfield has to be with Fred, Bruno, and Van de Beek because these three players can do things which McTominay can't do or Matic can't do also to a certain extent. When someone from the opposition presses your midfielder, you need to try and find out spaces. You can't just run and run and run. It'll get to a stalemate after a point of time. Someone has to take the ball out and pass. More than Van de Beek doing that, Van de Beek tries and goes into those difficult places which defenders don't want a striker or a midfielder coming there. Imagine if you're a Yannick Vestergaard and you're standing and there's someone like a Cavani who's waiting, there's a Rashford who's waiting, Martial waiting, and there is Donny Van de Beek who's like that irritating mosquito who's just moving around here and there. Who are you going to mark now? And on top of it, if you have that kind of a goal scoring instinct like Van de Beek has got, see, it's a different story to get into spaces and it's a different story to score. Van de Beek can more often than not will finish a chance because of his space and awareness. And that's why I think tomorrow's entire game is all about who controls the midfield will win it. And that's how we drew it against Southampton as well. We lost the control in midfield. They took a corner, they scored.
Right. Sham, but do you think we can control the midfield with one midfielder? So what would your 11 be? Would it be the same against Basak Shahir minus Lindelof and Van Bissaka because those are forced changes, or what would your ideal 11 be?
Yeah, I would probably go with the same 11 apart from the force changes because, again, we've been talking about we as a team or our attack blowing hot and cold. The main reason is because we haven't still found the consistent 11 who have played 3 or 4 games in a row. I know it's a marathon season and you need to rotate players, but at least give your best 11 a chance to play 3 to 4 games in a row and then see the results. So, are we doing great in that? Or are we consistently making chances, creating chances, scoring goals? And then you take a call. Either there is one other change, either Mata pops up in a league game and Van de Beek has to sit on the bench. But when you know that Van de Beek can offer so much more, which Mata doesn't, at that point of time, I think consistency will come only if we are consistent with our team. And we need to give them a run of good 4 to 5 games, and then we need to judge them or judge Ole based on what his team is doing. I'm not saying that we definitely need to play all the games with the fixed 11, but at least there needs to be a decent enough run given to them. And to your point, yes, apart from the force changes, I think I'll stick to what we started. And Fred can be a good disruptor or a DM, defensive midfielder in front of the defense. So I think
Yeah.
yes.
I think you raise a very valid point about consistency, and I think this game against Southampton is a run of 4 games which has City in it in the middle. But apart from that, there are 12 points out of which 9 are there for the taking. City game, it's a derby. Whatever happens, it can happen. Obviously we go into that trying to win the game. But apart from that, 9 points we should be getting out of the 12 at least. So this is the run of games where Ole has to stick to being consistent. I know there's Champions League in the middle, which is also now important since we are on 9 points. We have a chance to lead the group, close the group out. But so this, I completely agree that this run of games is incredibly important, and that's why I want to come to Vishesh. Vishesh, there is an interesting question I have. How important is the combination of Alex Telles and Edinson Cavani? Because with Cavani's movement and ability to head a ball, which Martial clearly does not have, it seems that we've got another facet to our game. So, how important? How do you think that will play out? And can we exploit that against Southampton because they do have big defenders?
Uh, that's what I've always been asking for, Prasham. If you remember when Luke Shaw was fit as well, I wanted Alex Telles to be in the side with Cavani just for the heading capability that Cavani has. It gives you a complete different dimension, as you're saying. But then again, I haven't been that happy with Tellez's crossing. It's something he's made few good crosses, but on a large scale, it hasn't been that great. Talking about Southampton's defense, yeah, it's gonna be tough for Cavani, but for some reason I just don't see him starting. Even though we spoke about the fact that we want Cavani, Rashford, Martial playing as our front three with Van de Beek, I just don't see Ole playing that in the
So,
Southampton.
Vishesh, why don't you just tell us quickly what your sort of 11 might look like?
It's gonna be, I would say, De Gea in goal, Williams because Van Bissaka is injured, Maguire, Tuanzebe, Lindelof's injured, um, and Alex Telles with Fred, McTominay, Bruno, Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood.
The typical United 11.
The typical United, because he's not going to change it because our defense has
Yeah.
been so weak in the league that having those two CDMs is something that's helped us. So in that manner, he's going to be scared of trying something out with a Southampton side that has been brilliant this season. We can't take it away from them, right? I
Yeah.
mean, 3-3 draw against Chelsea, 4-3 against Aston Villa, 2-0 against Everton. We can't really be like they're just going to sit back. It's very possible that like the other teams, they come attacking us as well, and
Yeah.
then all the pressure goes down to Tuanzebe, who doesn't have game time, Maguire, who's shaky right now, and Fred, who will be the only CDM. So for that reason, I think he would put in McTominay and Fred in there.
Right. Sham, I mean, I know you think the other lineup is going to be there. I'm sure all of us hope that it's that lineup that starts. But even when Vishesh says the lineup, it seems that that might be the direction Ole might go. But Sham, what are your predictions for this game, and whom are you thinking, and from United perspective, will be a standout player?
I think it would be Bruno and Cavani to be the standout players for this game. And no, I don't predict results. I don't predict scores. It never goes in our favor, so I've stopped doing that.
Right, right. So
But
also,
again, but
Sham, we
again,
don't.
coming back to Vishesh's point of you wouldn't want a Tuanzebe without enough game time. I think that point was thrown out of the window with his performance against PSG, and Southampton are in PSG.
But then we've seen him against
In,
Istanbul. We saw Demba Ba becoming the best
but
striker ever against Tuanzebe. So it just becomes kind of, you know,
But
that was a
Vishesh,
game where we, as
yeah,
a whole unit,
Capitulate.
failed.
failed. Yeah,
We weren't cohesive enough.
yeah.
But again, because the moment you have two defensive players, you're out.
You know what,
I
Vishesh?
just don't want to see that because if
Yeah.
we don't get a quick goal within the first 10-15 minutes
Mhm.
with the quick play which we had against Istanbul, I was thinking get a goal within the first 15 minutes because we won't be able to go at them like this for the full 45 minutes. And you need to get that first goal in. So that is the whole point of playing a full attacking unit out there and then getting that initial first quick goal. So that the opponent shoulders drop and not ours.
So just a point to add to what Sham says. Sham said right now. What Axel Tunzabe can do, Lindelof can't do, and that's to handle pace. Okay, and this Southampton attack is all about pace. You think about it, right? There's a Che Adams who's physical, who's more of a very secondary striker. Danny Ings is out of for 6-7 weeks, so it's going to be Walcott who's going to start up front now. Then there is someone like a James Ward-Prowse, who's got pace and who's got free kicks as well. You think about the fullbacks. There is Ryan Bertrand, then there is Kyle Walker-Peters. They will exchange the flanks, and that's how Southampton are playing. I still don't trust Lindelof playing at the back, even if he was fit for this game, because he'll surely get beaten in the air. For if you see the Southampton versus the Wolves game, Che Adams was thriving to win the ball in the air because that's his biggest physicality, his biggest strength. Lindelof will not be able to survive that kind of a 90-minute of cannonball of crosses which keeps coming out. And that's when Tunzabe can add that difference. And you think about Tunzabe as a player, what's his biggest strength? His biggest strength is to handle pace. That's exactly what he did against PSG. I don't think there's a forward line which is as pacey as Mbappe, Neymar, Icardi. Obviously, Icardi didn't play that game, but Mbappe and Neymar, they're too fast, trickery, and very difficult kind of forward players to handle because they've got skills in the back, they've got intelligence to score a goal, and they also go for the spectacular. So you can't have a off game against them, off second against them. With especially someone like an Mbappe, he will just run you to death, and you are not going to catch him. What did Tunzabe do the whole game? He did not wait back. He went and charged and won the ball over there. Sometimes as a defender, you need to take a charge, which Lindelof hasn't shown even once in his United tenure. While even the worst game of Tunzabe, it's not the one against Basakeshir. It's the one he made his debut against Arsenal, where Nicolas Pepe took him to cleaners. Tunzabe kept charging at him, and more often than not, he won the ball. It was just one tackle he missed. Nicolas Pepe went on and scored. So I rather have a Tunzabe against this kind of a forward lineup rather than let Tunzabe face a Man City or a Spurs where the strikers are more expansive kind of a player. So it should be a decent game for Tunzabe as well because we would want to see him in Premier League. Eventually, if we are saying that this guy is going to be the future of this club, Premier League should be his bread and butter, right? So
Right.
good game for him to start.
But Prashant, your predictions, man of the match for you for United and the score.
I don't want to predict, man. I mean, it just gets to a sticky situation. And right now, for me, United climbing up the ladder is the most important thing. So I'll not predict, but just one more point which I wanted to add to what Vishay said, for Cavani. People will remember Bruno scoring the second goal, but no one will even talk about Cavani's moment to deceive the keeper. Because all the time, everything was cross from Alex Telles. Cavani couldn't head the ball was what I saw it on Twitter. But no one even read the fact that Cavani actually drifted to the other direction so that the keeper goes with him because he expected to head from the sides. It went to the other direction. The keeper was off balance, ball fumbled, and it was there in front of Bruno. That's what an intelligent center forward does. And probably, he can be the perfect teacher for someone like a Greenwood or Rashford or Martial. This is proper goal scoring techniques. How big centre forwards in the late 90s or early 2000s used to score. Someone like a Gabriel Batistuta. These guys made their lives out of such kind of goals. My man of the match for the Southampton game, I have a very weird feeling that Bruno will flop and it'll probably be Alex Telles's game to shine because he'll get spaces to cross. And if Alex Telles can put half a decent cross, I really expect either Martial or Cavani to score. I don't think he can do anything more than that. Just bury the ball inside the net.
My worry, Prashant, is if you say Bruno's flopping, I think Bruno flopping is very, very closely intertwined with United losing.
But I'd rather have Bruno flopping in 1 or 2 games because I would want this team to see that if he flops, who else can stand up? If you can't stand up in the Southampton game, when are you going to stand up then?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Prashant. So,
like, how long will you keep depending on him, right? We all know that if you take him out of the attack, there is not a single person who's going to put the ball forward. It's too much pressure on him and it's too much dependency, and that's not ideal at all. So I rather flop him in Southampton game and he goes firing all cylinders against City or PSG, whoever.
Fair point. Vishesh, can we get a prediction out of you at least?
Yeah, sure. Personally, I think it'll be 2-0 to United. I think we're getting some form, 3 wins on a run. It's time to continue that and solidify our position in the league. Because ideally, if you look at it, we're not that far from Spurs or Liverpool or whoever is on top. We're just 6 points behind with a game in hand. So let's get that consistency. And when it comes to the player that I think we should look out for from Manchester United, I think it's going to be Rashford again. So let's see how things go.
Right. So here, guys, you'll have heard it. There haven't been many predictions. We are yet quite tight-lipped about what's going to happen, but that's the nature of this game. We don't exactly know what's going to happen in this game. Hansel is a great. Yeah.
You didn't predict.
Yeah, I was going to predict. I think Hansel is a great manager in terms of the way he sets his team up, but I think Manchester United will win this game 3-1 for the simple reason that it's away from home. So let's see.
You do know, right, that there is no Virgil van Dijk of Southampton in the defense where Martial can just pull him and score from his legs.
But no, I'm expecting a 3-1 with a performance from Martial. I'm expecting a goal from Martial with Marcus Rashford as well. I'm hoping Cavani gets a goal because I really think he deserves a run in the team because anyways, nothing else is working. So might as well try that. So let's see what happens. I think more than this scoreline, what 11 we come up with is more interesting right now for the fans to see because almost this when the 11 comes out, you almost can expect what's going to happen in the game. So thanks, Prashant. Thanks, Shyam, for joining us. Guys, do check out MUFC India. Do check out Manchester United Supporters Club Mumbai. Or both of them are on Instagram. A lot of Manchester United content there, a lot of lives as well, which you all can tune into. So give them a follow. The links are in the description below. And thanks for joining. Subscribe to our channel if you're new here. And we'll see you all after the game. Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video. If you do like it, please click on the thumbs up and please subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell icon to get daily notifications from the United Star. Follow us on Instagram at the.UnitedStar and we will see you soon.